Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Wrestling Challenge Review Series for the 2nd of July, 1989. My favorite year in pro wrestling period, 1989. I was a new fan, about 8 years old or so, 7, 8 years old, and loving every bit of WWF I could get my hands on. Didn't come across the NWA for a couple more years yet, probably around 92 or so, on a consistent basis Anyway, we've got some good stuff here. We have Tony Schiavone, Gorilla Monsoon, and Bobby Heenan as your main announcers. The Rockers versus Tom Stone and Barry Horowitz. Actually, a more competitive match than one would imagine it to be. Michaels in with the longer hair. Both Rockers wearing yellow tights and kind of a backbreaker by Michaels. Actually, this is a very vivid match memory for me. I'm sure at this point I had this particular episode of Challenge on tape at the time. They're actually plugging in the event center area, they're plugging a Worcester Centrum show, which I originally was supposed to go to as a kid, but didn't get to go there, which was a major bummer because it was the taping of Saturday night's main event for July of that year. Anyway, double drop kick by the Rockers, and the Rockers continue to be going forward in a very direct, borderline aggressive way. They break the match down pretty simple. Tom Stone and Barry Horowitz providing the opposition. Both guys super intelligent, and we then see some top rope action from the Rockers, giving them a victory here, as is common. Rockers probably my all-time favorite tag team, I think, tied with the Brainbusters, maybe. But those are 1 and 2 for me, and Midnight Express probably 3, just because I grew up as a WWF fan, so I have that bias. We go to the special report after the Rockers win, and they win with double fist drops to the Rockers. Anyway, special report is a weekly thing on both main programs. This particular special report is the detailing of the Ultimate Warrior interrupting the rude awakening of Rick Rude. Rude awakening, of course, Rude kissing a usually attractive young lady post-match, and the Warrior runs down, fresh slams Rude, beats him up, clotheslines, and a whole bunch of other things. Of course, they're feuding over the Intercontinental title that Rude had won a couple months before at WrestleMania 5, and that's that. But even that fresh slam for Rude just looks really awkward and uncomfortable, to say the very least. Anyway, we move on to $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase against Brad Perry. DiBiase still treated like a major deal here. Warrior basically says he does. Before we get there, the Warrior basically says he does whatever the Warriors want him to do. Rude basically says that he shouldn't have been messed with on his recreational time. I just find that kind of funny. But anyway, that's there, and it's good and all that. Anyway, so we move to there's hype for SummerSlam before we get to our next match. $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase against Brad Perry is here. I love DiBiase's kind of the pull-away suit sort of thing. Black and gold with the dollar signs on it, all that stuff. Virgil, of course, DiBiase's bodyguard there. I actually love the build for that. And to think that DiBiase had a run late 87 through the Rumble of 91, so 88, 89, 90. Over 3 years of a run, almost 3.5 years of a run, and they're doing the $1 Million Man gimmick. They're doing the $1 Million belt deal, and DiBiase hits some back elbows, a power slam, and the $1 Million Dream. DiBiase at the beginning of the match takes credit for ending the career of Jake Roberts, obviously building heat for Roberts' eventual return one of my all-time favorite promos is the WrestleMania 6 Muck of Everest promo from Jake Roberts. If you've never seen it, just type Jake Roberts WrestleMania 6 promo into your favorite search engine and you'll find it. That's how a promo should be done, rather than most of the junk that's out there today in the modern era. Anyway, DiBiase again with some short clotheslines, the $1 Million Dream and the like, and without a doubt, DiBiase should be and is happy with things. We then go to a vignette with Dusty Rhodes playing with a side of beef and some bologna and lamb chop, and he's wearing a bloodied smock in this vignette, and obviously, $1 Million Man and others need to be on watch for the American Dream. These vignettes are classic for the time period. Then we go to the event center, hyping for the July 18th Worcester Centrum card. Amazing to me looking back how Northeast and specifically New England centered WWF was. They were in the area several times per month if you included Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Maine, I guess New Hampshire and Vermont. If you included all 6 of those states, that's where a good bit of that went. Savage in his event center promo basically says that Beefcake didn't like the haircut he received. Also says that Beefcake needs to be aware that he meaning Savage, is more interested in getting his hands on Hulk Hogan and the return of the championship. Savage at this point, for me, 87 to 90 is Savage's peak years. He was phenomenal here. I loved the Mega Power turn. I loved his run as the King, and Beefcake, who had his head or his hair chopped off, basically says that he is ready to take care of Savage. Of course, the singles match between the two also denotes the eventual tag match that would main event SummerSlam. Of course, Hogan and Beefcake versus Zeus, Movie Star, and Savage. Savage, of course, doing the majority of the work in that one. Anyway, we continue to move along here, and without a doubt, Randy Savage is a major force, probably the top heel at the time, next to Hogan being the top babyface. But anyway, we move forward into the next match series of the time. Jimmy Snuka versus Tom Burton. Snuka coming back at WrestleMania 5. Only been back here for a couple of months. Never really hits the top stride that he'd hit earlier in the year, or in the years past 82 through 85. Certainly not that level of influence, from Snuka. Snuka, of course, would want that level of influence should he be able to have it, but doesn't have it for a number of reasons. Anyway, without a doubt, the Honky Tonk Man, who I don't know that the attack with the guitar on the Brother Love show had happened quite yet. Probably. I did get to see them have one match, them being Snuka and Honky Tonk Man, probably around the summer of 89. It was nothing to write home about. They were doing C-Towns with that as the main event, and Honky worked hard, but unless you really liked Honky, or you had been around for Snuka in a larger capacity, 82 through 85, I think the match is under-delivered. Anyway, atomic drop by Snuka. Snuka in the ring gets cut off for a moment by Burton. Burton really doesn't go too terribly far. Some shoulder tackles and the like, basic stuff. And needless to say, Snuka hits a couple of leapfrogs and gets very little out of his own way for his own trouble. Backbreaker followed by a top rope splash by Snuka that he obviously is known for, and he is victorious here. Now we move onward and upward to, let's see, The next thing in this is Dino Bravo and Ronnie Falls. Not a good match. Of course, Bravo by this point becoming more and more immobile. He's around till 91 sometimes. Actually, might even been 92. But by 89, Bravo is dropping. A couple of leapfrogs, some basic stuff by the enhancement talent. Bravo does catch the man in a cross body into a press slam. Jimmy Hart, of course, on the outside with Bravo. The switch from Frenchie Martin to Jimmy Hart happens sometime right after WrestleMania 5, within 2 or 3 months, and a side suplex and a win for Bravo. Certainly nothing worth writing home about in terms of quality of match here. We go back to the event center, and obviously, without going too far with it, there's that piece coming together. The hype for Demolition and the Brainbusters for the tag team titles, the Saturday night's main event in July. This shows that they're hyping, although I don't think they'd hyped it as being as important as it was, is majorly important, as this is the title switch. Busters picking up the belts from Demolition, and they are certainly a pretty big deal, having won the championships at WrestleMania 4, not dropping them until July of 1989, or picking them up at WrestleMania 4 in 88, not dropping them until July of 89, so that's a pretty big deal. Of course, Snuka and, Honky Tonk Man and Hulk Hogan is also on tap for that, and Honky is secure in the knowledge that he is going to rid the WWF of Hulk Hogan, which obviously doesn't happen. But Honky certainly a good talker and getting people's butts in seats to see him get his butt kicked by the Hulkster without much question or virtually any question, actually. Mr. Perfect is up next, and obviously he is going towards the Bret Hart mode of things here. Perfect, hits a couple of drop kicks, a couple of forearms, real basic stuff, knee lifts, eventually an inverted neck snap, and the perfect plex for a victory. Hillbilly Jim is out next. He's interviewed by Mean Gene Okerlund, endorsed by Hacksaw Duggan as being a good guy. I think that a lot of the endorsement that took place here was more about the fact that Hillbilly Jim had to take over the arena duties from Big John Studd as a replacement. Studd left the promotion about a month before this. I know he was supposed to have been feuding with Andre the Giant, but Studd became unhappy with the way he was being utilized and all of that. Then we go to the Twin Towers, Akeem and Akeem and the Big Boss Man versus Jim Powers and Tom Stock. Powers, of course, a couple of years removed from the Young Stallions with Paul Roma. Slick managing the Twin Towers for several years here. Anyway, kick to the midsection by the Boss Man. Really basic one-sided matches is to be expected. Boss Man sends the man over the second rope on the inside. Leaps with all his weight on the back of the neck of the enhancement talent. Obviously, that's no fun either. Akeem comes in. He's less than happy with his deal. And the Boss Man Slam is used. Boss Man uses the nightstick as a form of punishment. We see a Hulk Hogan music video for the No Holds Barred movie. I remember as a kid loving that video, looking back and realizing how hokey it was, but, what taste does a 7, 8, 9-year-old have? Not very much. Then we move to the final match of the day. Jim Evans Butler Stevens against the Red Rooster. Of course, Red Rooster, babyface since about maybe fall of 80. No, let's see. He was still the heel up until I think Rumble 89, so maybe turning in January, February of this year. And he's gone by July of 90, so Terry Taylor not having a good run as the Red Rooster. Rooster hits a hammerlock after taking several shots, including, but not limited to, some back elbows and some drop kicks. Rooster gets what he wants and gets a victory in the long run. We'll be back with more right after this. Also, if you're listening to this on the day it's released, we should have the NXT and AEW review for today up later as well. Till next time, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment.